Today we're going to talk about Teradata AppCenter and how it can bring value to a company's analytical ecosystem. So what is Teradata AppCenter? Really what Teradata AppCenter is, it's really a software platform that really simplifies not only the development and deployment applications, but really the reuse of analytical apps within the analytical environment of a company. It really is an environment that promotes sharing and reuse of common analytical processes that enable both the developer to reuse them as well as the user that wants to analyze data or manipulate data within the Teradata Unified Data Architecture. So it really automates the process of, and it promotes the reuse of things such as data pipelines, of ingesting data into an environment, or creating visualizations or analytical processes and apps that can be executed across multiple platforms, those being Teradata, Hadoop, and other environments as well. So App Center is really suitable, for, as I mentioned, for both the developer as well as the end user. So the developer can use and leverage the coding tools of their choice and develop the business logic, and then actually import that and encapsulate it and containerize it within the App Center environment. And all the deployment components are actually done through a guided process within the App Center framework. You can actually code against multiple data sources, from the Astrodata platform to the Teradata platform to multiple execution engines in Hadoop, from Hive to Presto. And it's really easy to deploy and you code as well as ingest and deploy that code at scale. And then for the end user, it becomes very easy because you have these libraries of applications, analytical applications, as well as data manipulative applications that can be leveraged by the user community. It's really easy to find the applications. They can, tailor the applications through set parameters where they can say, okay, I want to look at this specific column or this data set, and just click on it and execute the application. It really enables them to much more easily leverage analytical apps within an infrastructure. And then in the future, we also see a vision where they'll be able to innovate by combining multiple apps, these being data manipulation apps or even analytical apps within a stream or a workflow, and in the future being able to create these larger applications through stringing multiple apps together. It really empowers both the developer for ease of creation and deployment, really the deployment component of the applications, as well as the end user being able to really much more easily find, share applications, and leverage those within an analytical environment. Really promoting that idea of agile infrastructure within the analytics within the unified data architecture. So the App Center infrastructure is very easy to use, as well as contains a lot of components to make the management and deployment of applications much more efficient. So within the App Center framework, a developer can set up permissions, set up users, target data sources, connections, versioning of applications, etc., all through a guided process. So instead of an application developer having to create all those components every time they create an app, they can create it through a guided process as their business logic or the code that they've written in SQL or Java or Python is encapsulated in that container created, that container created within the App Center environment. So it's much more efficient and easy to leverage for these developers within the unified data architecture. To create an app in App Center, you have the ability to actually just code within the tool of your choice. Like, for example, if a developer is wanting to use SQL, they can create SQL within a tool such as SQL Assistant or Toad, and they simply choose a file where the code actually exists. They import it into the App Center framework, and then through the web-based guided process, they can set up the permissions, the platform they're going to connect to, etc. And then the app is actually able to be executed by the users. So it's a much more efficient process of being able to create applications by the developer and deploy these applications that can be executed across multiple platforms within the Teradata analytical environment. So to run an application, if you're an end user, it becomes a very simple process. So the benefit of AppCenter, as I mentioned earlier, is not only to enable the developer to more easily create and develop these applications, but we really wanted an infrastructure that promoted the use of applications and the sharing of application, and also the sharing of results. And that's what AppCenter enables the end user to do as well. So the end user can specifically choose a system to query. They enter their login information. If the application has parameters, they can enter those parameters if they're parameterized, and they simply run the application and executes, and they get a result set. They also have the ability within Teradata AppCenter to leverage a scheduler as well. So if an end user wanted to query some specific information, or have a data flow that moves some data from one table to another, and they wanted to schedule that, they could do that as well. So it's very efficient, as well it has a broad usage for multiple tasks that the end users might face. Not only does the AppCenter infrastructure enable users to execute these applications, but it also enables them to not only get result sets back, but share those result sets within the AppCenter framework. So results can be displayed in a table or also in a visual format as well. And those results can be stored as well as shared for other users to access and view as well. So it's a broad spectrum of usage that an end user can execute, get the result set back, and actually enable other users to visualize and share those results with them. So very powerful in its usage across the analytical infrastructure. Not only does the AppCenter infrastructure, the AppCenter platform, have the ability to import the code that somebody's created in something like Toad or SQL Assistant or a Python tool, but you also have the ability to import any container or Docker container into the AppCenter framework and leverage that as well within the AppCenter framework. So it has the ability to basically, if you've already created Docker containers that exist in your environment and you want them to be able to be leveraged or managed within the AppCenter framework, as well as connect to engines that are in the Teradata infrastructure, you can import those Docker containers and they can be leveraged within the AppCenter framework. So it's very flexible in its ability to actually take custom work that you've already done, import that, do a little tuning and tweaking, and then be able to execute that with all the other components that exist within the AppCenter framework. So it's very powerful in the scope of the analysis and infrastructure it can touch, because basically anything that you can put in a Docker container with a little work, it can run within the AppCenter framework. So it's very, very powerful in its ability to import code and leverage that across the Teradata Unified Data Architecture. So that is a brief overview of the Teradata AppCenter platform, and thank you for watching our video.